is Fox 40 News at 5. Now, Stephanie Cruz and Eric Harriman.
We'll get started tonight with multiple reports of breaking news.
The latest, a car into a creek that is happening in South Sacramento on Elder Creek Road and 65th. And we've heard that vehicle crashed, rolled over, and ended up in the water. But we don't know if there's anyone still inside the car.
And we're also tracking a 2-alarm fire that's happening on Mack Road right now. This is between Franklin Boulevard and Center Parkway. That fire sparked about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Rowena Shaddix joins us live from the scene. This is at the Cedar Ridge Apartments Row. What else can you tell us?
Well, Eric, the fire is out. That is the good news. And take a look at the apartment in question. It is the one right in the back corner. Now, when we got here on scene, there were firefighters that were standing on the roof of this building with their axes trying to alleviate some of the pressure. Of course, you know, when those fires spread into the attic area and with the shake root, it could spread very quickly. Now, we want to roll some video that was shot by 12-year-old Roberto Acosta just moments ago. You could see huge flames that are peeking out of the roof, shooting out of the roof, and witnesses tell us that at one point the fire actually seemed to have died down. They were standing around when it just swooped back up again and started. The big flames came out again. Very scary. I was able to talk to the grandmother of a woman who lives in this apartment complex. She has 3 grandchildren and their mother were inside sleeping. They were awoken by a neighbor who pounded on the door and got them out safely. And also the fire department confirms at this moment that there were no injuries to report. Now, live back out here, as far as how this fire started around 4 o'clock, we just don't know at this point. Still lots of questions unanswered, but the good news is apparently there were no injuries.
All right, Ro, live for us tonight in South Sacramento. Thank you. And a red flag warning blankets Northern California, which means that we are at high risk for wildfire.
And blame it on the drought. You see the red flag warning highlighted on this map covering the valley from Redding to Modesto. We'll get to Chief Meteorologist Christina Warner to explain the conditions that triggered this warning. But first, we'll go to Marin Austin, who spent today with firefighters, because Marin, any small spark can become a big deal under these conditions.
Well, Stephanie and Eric, good evening. This really is the reality. Summer of 2014. Take a look around me. You've seen this everywhere in all of our counties, a sea of yellow. And this right here is what has CAL FIRE on standby all throughout the Sacramento region. A good spray down.
Yeah, it's got foam now.
Does the trick inside the hood of this silver Toyota.
Kind of like, oh, what do I do? What do I do?
Stephen Caton never meant to start a fire, but he did.
I initially just was thinking, I was like, you know, this whole field's gonna catch on fire just from one little accident.
See this black charred ground? This is a grass fire caused by a minor car accident that occurred along Newcastle Road this afternoon. Normally, you wouldn't necessarily see CAL FIRE responding to a small grass fire in Newcastle, but today is very different.
The drought has absolutely set the stage for a very busy, a very potentially dangerous fire season for all of us.
In fact, this year is very different. Typically, CAL FIRE employs about 50 or so engines for fire season in our region, but right now they have 175. At the moment, CAL FIRE crews are stationed in nearly every county across our region, ready to jump in and aid local fire crews to put out a fire like this one. And that red flag warning affects almost all of us. But these areas are being watched even more so by CAL FIRE. This is a map FOX40 obtained today. The areas you see in red are considered very high danger. You can see almost all of Amador, parts of Calaveras, El Dorado, Placer, Nevada, Yuba, Colusa, and Yolo counties are in the red.
Because it's only going to get hotter, it's only going to get drier. So the likelihood of fires becoming larger only goes up.
Now, CAL FIRE tells me they are ready to pull resources from any place that doesn't need those resources and put them somewhere else, because at this point, even the smallest fire, as you saw in that story, is something that should be taken seriously.
We're taking a look at that red flag warning right now, and it is for much of the valley. Here's a look right now at it, and you can see it is from Redding, stretching all the way south into Modesto, so the entire valley. When you talk about red flag warnings, there's certain criteria we have to meet. We have to have sustained winds at 15 miles per hour or higher. We have to have humidities at 25% or less, and temperatures greater than 75. Today, We certainly saw all three. You can see winds anywhere from about 15 to 20 miles an hour, so that's why we saw the red flag warning. Temperatures also in the 80s, 83 in Sacramento, 80 in Redding, 87 for Fresno right now, and humidity's extremely low. Look at Sacramento right now, 9% humidities, and as you get closer to the fire, the Hunter's fire, you can see humidity's even lower at 7%.
And we are still on the wildfire watch because of the Hunter's fire, which has forced people to evacuate their homes. At last check, that fire had burned about 1,300 acres, including 2 homes. Both of them, though, were vacant. Firefighters have it 20% contained. 100 homes remain threatened, and evacuation orders are still in place. 5 firefighters have been hurt battling that. And another fire burning in Stanislaus County is now 80% contained. The lake fire sparked a little more than 24 hours ago off of Highway 132 just near Lake Road. CAL FIRE says it burned about 40 acres and the forward spread has been stopped.
New at 5, 2 Stockton police officers are recovering after slamming their cruiser into a tree this morning. They were responding to reports of a suspect shooting at another car when they crashed. Both officers were taken to a nearby hospital, and now investigators are trying to figure out how it happened. The suspect behind the gunfire, Jimmy Lee Turner, was arrested by other responding officers. The fate of the Davis woman accused of drowning her 5-year-old daughter is now in the hands of the jury. Closing arguments wrapped up yesterday, but jurors have yet to make a decision. Ackland Talamantes has pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree murder.
We confirmed that the CHP is investigating alleged sex tapes made at CAL FIRE stations. Those rumors came to light during the investigation into Orville Fleming. He is the former battalion chief for CAL FIRE, who's now charged with murdering his fiancée in their South Sacramento home a few weeks ago. CAL FIRE told us today that they asked CHP to get involved because they wanted an outside agency to handle that investigation.
Tonight, Woodland police are still looking for the man who reportedly dragged a teenage girl into some bushes and tried to rape her. The suspect is about 5'5" with a stocky build, slicked back brown hair and brown eyes. She describes his clothing at the time of the attack as a green Oakland A's baseball cap, a red hooded sweatshirt, jeans with white paint spatter on them, and black cowboy boots. Luana Munoz visited the neighborhood and the girls' school to see what's being done to keep kids safe.
On this busy street in Woodland, it's hard to believe a 15-year-old girl was almost raped on her way to school.
Police say it happened in this general area of East Gum Streets and Kate Lane. They say the suspect grabbed the victim, pulled her into the woods, and attempted to rape her.
Police say it happened here, near East Gum Avenue and Kate Lane. The suspect grabbed the victim, pulled her into the woods, and tried to rape her. The teen was able to break free from her attacker. Administrators at nearby Pioneer High School are taking action, warning students and parents. The victim is one of their own.
It's a little bit uneasy. You know, I'm certainly glad that she's safe and that she was able to get away safely, and that she reported it, which is great, because we don't know if, or we can't help if we don't know.
The Woodland Unified School District is working with police to try and catch the man. The notice being sent to parents is district-wide. It explains the incident and how families can protect their kids.
You know, we're always concerned of the safety of students, and our response is always to try and get information out to keep people informed, and also give them some ideas as to how they can prevent this from happening.
The district wants kids to walk in groups. If they're listening to music, they should only place one earbud in their ear so they can be more aware of their surroundings and to report anything out of the ordinary. Residents say the neighborhood is generally safe, but now they're on edge.
I do have younger siblings and some cousins, and I'm kind of worried about them now, walking around here, especially at night.
Pioneer High is offering counseling to the victim and other students.
Sacramento police want to find the people responsible for a stabbing that left one man dead. Cops say that the victim was with his family inside a restaurant on Broadway by 19th Street last night when another group of men entered and started fighting. The victim and his family went outside. The other group reportedly followed and stabbed him. The suspects fled before police could get there. The victim then passed away at the hospital. Opening statements in the Brian Stow civil suit are set to start tomorrow morning. Stow and his family appeared at the jury selection in downtown LA today. This is them. The suit accuses the LA Dodgers and its former owner, Frank McCourt, of failing to provide proper security on the night that Stow was beaten 3 years ago after a game against the San Francisco Giants. McCourt's lawyers argue that Stow said something that sparked that fight to begin with. The 2 men who beat Stow were convicted for what they did. The civil lawsuit is seeking $50 million in damages.
A developing story now. Life is slowly starting to resume after Friday's deadly rampage in Isla Vista. 6 people died and 13 more were hurt when Elliot Roger went on an attack by stabbing, shooting, and hitting people with his car. In a manifesto he left behind, he says he wanted to get revenge on the beautiful women and popular men who he felt had shunned him. And for the first time since the attack, students went back to class.
I don't really know how to react, really. Just slowly ease back into this, I guess.
The return to class just one day after a large-scale memorial service, and back to routines, but far from back to normal for students at UCSB. Coming up at 5:30, we'll have the latest on a community's effort to grieve and heal.
Remembering an icon, the entire world mourning the death of renowned poet, novelist, and civil rights activist Maya Angelou. Ben DC with more on her lasting impression.
In Miss Clapper's speech and debate class at Albert Einstein Middle School, a thought well said, a sentiment well expressed, gets a knock on the table. And today, students were knocking for the doors of thought and sentiment opened by Maya Angelou.
The hells we have lived through and live through still have sharpened our senses and toughened our will.
Angelou's life was a stunning one. The sex assault, the years she didn't speak after her assaulter was killed, the job as the first female trolley conductor in San Francisco, her resume an impressive one too, the books and poems and movies, the leadership in the civil rights movement. But what may be most impactful to these students who have studied her is that she walked the earth the same time they did. Unlike so many people they study, Maya Angelou was living in and writing about a world they know, the world they inhabit.
She wants them to know that you could be who you want to be.
She broke down many barriers in her life just to do what she loved.
These poems are not for herself, but for the people. And your mouth spilling words armed for slaughter, meaning your words have power.
In Angelou's own words, quote, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel," unquote. And it's clear amongst these students her legacy is making them feel like they can speak their minds and achieve whatever goals those minds can imagine.
Angelou's family released a short statement today calling her a warrior for equality, tolerance, and peace.
Coming up, a problem with ping. See why the people searching for missing Malaysia Flight 370 could have been looking in the wrong place. And
11,000. 11, he says, yes. 11,500. 11,500.
First lost, then found, now sold. See how much rare gold coins went for at auction after they were discovered in a Sierra Nevada backyard.
One, two, three, four.